there, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining me for a craft night with friends. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So we are working on the penguins embroidery. We got a little snowboarding and skiing penguin. We are a good ways through. I think we'll finish the one penguin tonight, the little baby penguin on the snowboard, and I think we'll probably get pretty far on the older skiing penguin as well. So looking good for the week. Still shooting on finishing it this week yet. So that's the plan. So thanks again for joining me. All right, let's get going, everyone. Okay. So I'm going to shimmy you guys down here right away. Thanks again for joining. All right, so we got our little feller here again. Ooh, and just a reminder, you guys, it's the early bird special sale still for our alphabet. We're going to start the ABCs. I have this in reverse order, but it's like our ABC stitch along. And that's going to start the 31st of this month, and we'll be stitching all of these guys in order and making a quilt out of it. So we have that early bird special for the entire collection of 26 paper patterns. These are the iron-on patterns, and then like 30 pieces of fabric, a hoop, scissors. So we got a nice big bundle of everything you need to get going with this project, and that sale goes till Friday. It'll still be available, but it's significantly less. It's 27% off with this sale that we're running through Friday. So I just wanted to mention that, and I have to share. So I got. If you saw my TikTok today, I got some more thread. So theoretically, this is good tatting thread. But I'm using it for a different project, and I'll show you that. I'm going to be using it theoretically for my great-grandmother's crocheted tablecloth. So this is my great-grandmother did this. So this looks like tatting, but this is actually crocheted. And it has... it needs a bunch of repairs. So here's an example. That's a more major one. And then there's just a lot of tiny little holes where the thread just broke. And then there's a little bit bigger holes here and there. But I want to repair this, but I bought some, this was just stupid because this is totally the wrong color, but I bought some size 30 thread, which is kind of what you can find out there at Joann's. Clearly the wrong color. I got bright white for some reason. I don't know why I did that. So I couldn't find the right size. It just seemed a little bit smaller. So I bought online some of this Lisbeth thread. So this is great for tatting, I've heard as well. So I got size 40, which, the bigger number actually means it's a smaller thread. I think this actually might work. I haven't tested it yet, and this color looks pretty close too. This is a slightly darker color. It looks it looks like the same, but it's slightly darker. They made it look a whole lot darker online though. There is a tiny bit here and there on this tablecloth that is a darker color. Oh yeah, right here. You can barely tell, but that little rosette, I guess, is a darker color. Hey, that might not be that bad. So I haven't quite checked it, but I think this 40 weight of these two colors might work out super well for this. So this is going to be an ongoing project where I just have to make tiny, tiny repairs to a lot of it. So that'll be interesting. And I'm just trying to map out how am I gonna even mark the area that I have done. It's gonna be a whole system of figuring out how to do that. So I'm just putting that away. And then I also bought size 80. So these are the same two colors, but even smaller. This is size 80 thread, so it's even smaller than this 40 thread. I think this might be a little too small, but this would be great for tatting. And when I got these guys, I bought something for myself too. So I bought this 4 Dozen Tatted Snowflakes book. I think it's a self-published book. It seems like by Robin Perfetti here, but they're all so cute, and the instructions looked relatively simple. So look at all the fun designs. So I kind of want to work my way through this book. It's interesting though, like I did look through it already, and they have like different levels of where you're at, and this book is levels, like based on your skills, this is like levels 2 through 4, and I am clearly, I only know how to do like level 1. So, oh, Anne says that this is the one that you got for Christmas. Oh, Anne, yeah, I remember you talking about that yesterday. Let me know if you've made any yet. So, but like what I was looking at the difficulty rating, and in this book, it only goes from level 2 to level 4. So I'm definitely at level 1. I can do those things. I can't do, like, I don't even know what some of these things are for level 2. So to even do anything in this book, I'm going to have to like learn some new skills, which will be great. It didn't look like this showed how to do any of those skills though, so I'm going to have to like look it up, how to do certain skills, which is kind of a bummer. It would have been nice if that was part of this book, but it's not. But anyway, so I'm thinking of working my way through this book over the next, zillion of months, but there's also pretty, and so it'll force me to learn new skills, and I think I might do it with this Aunt Lydia's 30 weight that I accidentally bought. I mean, I didn't accidentally bought, but it was too small, or too fat and the wrong color for that my great-grandmother's crocheted tablecloth. So, but it's that bright white, and I think this is just going to be so fun for snowflakes, so I think I might work my way through that. Anywho, Anne says start with the sample pattern. Will do for sure. I did spend some time looking through it today, and I'm like, yep, don't know what that is. Yep, don't know how to do that. I'm going to have to look up that. So I could probably only do the sample one, and even the sample one I think is got 2 dots on it, so I'm going to have to learn something for that one too. But yeah, I might actually just go in order. It doesn't go in order of difficulty. Like it jumps around, so it'll have like 3 number 2s, and then it'll have a number 4, and then maybe a number 3 difficulty. But I think that might be nice. Like I can do a couple 2s just to challenge myself and learn how to do the things, and then I'll be like ready for the 4 or whatever, and then that might be super difficult, and then it'll just bring me back to another 2 that I can do. So I think how it's laid out in the book, if I go in order, I think that will be the way to do it. But anywho, those are the funds that were in my mail today. I'm excited about it. Grace says the snowflakes are so beautiful. Yeah, so I'm gonna just start on his beak and little buckles here tonight, and then we have the hat that I'll do after that. But anyway, so I'd love to decorate something like with a billion of those little, not a billion, but as many of those little snowflakes that I can make. Like I just think a tree that's only got snowflakes like that on it, or like just like hanging from the ceiling or something, a bunch of little snowflakes would just be so fun. Oh, Justin says, I love seeing you wear your sweater. Oh my god, you guys, I wore this all day today. I actually wore 4 long sleeve shirts today, if you can believe it. This was chilly. So yesterday it was like 41 degrees. Today it's 0 degrees, and tomorrow it's going to be negative degrees, and that's like without wind chill. It's supposed to be breezy too, so it's going to be like negative whatever. I think up north here it was like negative 40. Just wind, or just like, I think that's with like, that's like air temperature, which is just nutso. But yeah, so it was chilly. I had this guy on all day, along with my jean jacket shirt too. We did still go for our walk though, our 4 o'clock walk, and actually I wasn't cold at all. I was perfect, and I'm telling you, it's that mutton chop fuzzy hat I should get that one time here. It looks crazy on. Like, I feel like, and I wear it everywhere, so I'm sure I'm like, look at that crazy lady wearing that giant fuzzy hat. But then after, when people say that to themselves, then they're thinking, that's the smartest person alive. Because I'm telling you, after I got that hat, I never had, like, back-breaking cold, that feeling ever again. And I used to get that, like, every year when it gets super cold like this, and just, you're driving in the car and your spine, it feels like it literally is going to break. And if you haven't had that cold, it's a weird feeling. Like, it just feels like you're going to break in half because of the cold. I have not had that feeling ever since I got that hat. Like, I don't know. Gosh, I might have had that hat for like 7, 8, 9 years at this point. Ugh. Best freaking winter purchase ever. For sure. That, and I do like my boots that I've had a couple years now. I think this is my second winter with them, and man, those two things, I'm golden on these walks. John was chilly. I could have been out there all day. You could have, like, warmed your hands on my feet too. Like, just, feet weren't cold or anything. It's been great. And I'm telling you, it's literally because of that hat. It has to be. Ooh, that'd be great. Grace says, how about, like, the snowflakes on a wreath? That'd be really pretty, a bunch of snowflakes on a wreath. Or a tabletop tree. Yep, that'd be fun. I'd like to do more than what a tabletop tree could have. Like, I want, like, they're going to be relatively big. Like, I'm guessing they're going to be, like, at least this big. I don't know that for sure, but with that particular thread, I think they're going to be pretty good size. The bigger thread, that 30 weight versus that, not that 80 weight or something like that. How do you keep your lungs from freezing off? I do have I've switched from the scarf this time of year. I've switched over to, gosh, I don't even know what brand it's called, but it has like a little turtle. It's like a turtleneck, so it's like a really, really long neck thing that you can kind of bunch up, but it's tight on your face. Yeah, not super tight, but pretty tight. And it's for, like, super cold weather. There was a year that John, my husband, shot a short film, and it was outside in winter, and we got all the gear for being outside all day in, like, 0-degree temperatures that year. I think that's when I got the hat, so that's how I would know, how I could look up, I suppose, when I got that. But man, the wool sweater, that's my game. Wool sweater underneath my winter coat. Got my nice socks, my nice boots, and that fuzzy hat. Fuzzy hat for the win, though, for sure. Gina says, what size thread is called for in the book? So they have measurements if you wanted to do 2 different sizes, I believe. Let me just peek. Oh, yeah, so I suppose it says what size they'll be. Yeah, right here. So, like, here's the snowflakes. Oh, so with Lisbeth size 20, or DMC size 80. So, okay. So neither of those is what I have, but I'm assuming that it's pretty similar weight, because ultimately it is based on weight, how they calculate, like, the sizes. I forget quite how that works. But it's actually related to weight, or like a percentage of weight or something like that. But that's so I'm thinking that the 80 is pretty consistent. So the DMC size 80 would be the smaller, like this, the like super duper little, and then the size 20. This is size 30, so 20 would be even bigger than this. So they're giving you options for like a big fat snowflake and a really teeny tiny delicate snowflake, and then they're giving it's all in centimeters, so they're giving you the height and width of each of them. Oh, that's interesting. I would have assumed it would be close enough to equal height and width on all of these to not have to write both height and width, but whatever. I don't know. It's also a self-published book, it looks like, so a lot of those aren't checked for like tested and stuff like that. But anywho, I'm excited to give it a go. When I was looking for books online, it was the one, first of all, I thought it'd be fun to just do a bunch of snowflakes, but it was the one that seemed like it had the most clear diagrams and instructions. What do you do with the finished projects? Oh, hello from Connecticut. Hey, Abby Cat Girl. A whole bunch of things. So for this week, we'll just be stitching it, but every once in a while, we'll like when we have extra time, we'll turn them into things. So you can just actually finish them in the hoop, and they can hang in the hoop as just like wall art. I oftentimes sew them into bags, so like we'll make either tote bags or zipper pouches that have the embroidery on the front. I think I have one of those nearby. I moved everything around, so I don't have one nearby. But then we've made them into like pillow covers before, so you have a cute little character on a pillow. I've sewn them onto my shirts before and turn them into like little applique pieces. So ultimately, it's decorating something, I suppose. We did a snowflake a couple months ago, and we made that into a tree topper. That turned out pretty fun. So basically any sort of like fabric thing that you want to kind of decorate. But I like the idea of that the embroidery can be like the star of the show. I've like framed them before, or you can turn them into quilts. I mean, I guess that's most. I've just kind of didn't even mention that you could cut these square. That's what we're gonna do with the alphabet. Actually, I'm going to sew each one of these guys on a piece of fabric, and then we'll be cutting those pieces of fabric and then sewing it with other fabric and turning it into a quilt. So that's a common thing. All right, we got his little guys down there. Oh, thanks. Love it watching you stitch. It's inspiring. Oh, I appreciate that so much. Yeah, so we'll be doing this for the rest of the evening here. And I'm here every evening, except for the weekend. So Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And we're oftentimes embroidering, but lots of times we're doing other stuff. We've done tatting here before, and oh, you guys, so this week, we're stitching this embroidery, but next week is going to be an open week again. So I would love to maybe try, get started on one of those snowflakes, but I got to show you this other thing that came in the mail. It was a great mail week, I'm telling you. Here, let me grab that quick. All right, so my little darning guys came in. So this is like a little kind of a reproduction speed weave tool to do darning, and I want to maybe darn a little bit more on these gloves. So these are like some of my favorite wool gloves. I just love them, and it's knit wool, so I've used them all the time, so I've had to repair them a few times. So this is darning just by myself, without a tool, but these little speed weave things, I actually have a couple different sizes. I need to do a patch right here, and that's very similar to, I've already done one in the same spot on this side, this little square patch. So I basically want to do the same thing over here. So what you do is I would put this on the inside of my glove, and then this would get stretched around it. And you would bring your thread up, and you'd connect it to one of these hooks. this has like a whole pile of hooks. And then, you're weaving, so you're going like in and out and in and out and in and out. But these hooks kind of lift up one side, so you just, instead of like having to putz with weaving it in and out, you can just like shimmy your needle right through it really easily. And then when you flip it the other way, it'll lift up the other, it'll flip the threads in the opposite direction, so you can just like shoot your needle through. So just like a normal, like large weaving machine where you have all your threads, and one side will go up so you can slide the shuttle underneath, and then the other side will go through and you can throw the shuttle through. It's basically the same thing. So I have it comes with two small discs like this. One's with the guys really close together like this, and then one with them a little wider apart if you wanted to do larger thread. And then I have a larger one that's about this big that has an additional one. And these just stay on with like rubber bands. So I'm pretty excited to use that. So we might do that next week just to give a new gadget a try. And then we might do some tatting. I know I want to, gosh, there's just so many projects. I want to work on this sweater a little bit more potentially too. I don't know if we'll get to that. It's a wearable sweater right now, so I'm not feeling like a super big pressure to do anything more on the sweater. But I would like to do a collar on the sweater, and literally like only like 2 rows of like this red that's in the cuff, just because I think like design wise it needs just like a little pop of color up there to go with the cuffs. But I think I have to do, so I kind of found out this thing about knitting when I was doing research on how to do the cuffs. But I think I have to do knitting where I pick up the stitches and then I knit like the 2 rows on one side, but then I think I have to pick up the stitches from the inside too. So I'd actually be encapsulating the current collar, just the little top part of the current collar, and then I'd have to like Kitchener stitch it together. So I think it's a little bit more, like, to get the effect that I want with just like a colorful band. I think there's actually more work to it than I think. So I gotta dig into that a little bit more. Oh, Abby says you have to show us the darning tool. Yeah, so I for sure we'll do that next week because I'm just like itching to give it a try. The orange over the feet. How did you do that? Oh, I just did a back stitch. So it's not actually, so it's like an optical illusion a little bit, right? Because I didn't actually stitch any black on the inside. So it's actually, it's still light colored on the inside. So I only stitched black on the toes and then up at the ankle here. And then I just did the outline in orange. So it just kind of makes it look like it's in front. But yeah, I just did that now just with a back stitch. So just the same way that I'm going to do his little beak. Just a bunch of little back stitches, which is the same thing that we did for the body and the wings here. Oops. So I don't know how far we'll get tonight. I've been kind of yammering the whole time. Becky says, I'd like to see how the darning tool works. Hope you show how it works. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do that next week because I'm just excited about it. I had seen them before online. You know, you can get antique ones. They're so expensive though. So I found this one on Etsy and it came with 3 and they were having like a really big sale for Christmas. So I got that one and it took like 2 months to get here, you guys. I've been like waiting forever. It was kind of like my Christmas gift to myself and it took ages to get here. But I've been eyeballing them for like 3 years or something, and it finally rose to the surface. I do want to play with that for sure. And those little gloves, I'm kind of afraid to wear them because I don't want to make those holes bigger. But I love the idea, like with these gloves, that I can keep repairing them, and maybe one day this whole entire thing will just be darned pieces. Because like this, I've already darned over the top of darning. Like this came down to here, and then another hole came, so I had to go on top of that. And you know, this one here too, there's a little, it's hard to even see that it's there, but there's a little darn square that's going on top of here. So, and here, this one, I'll probably have to go all the way, over the top of some bits. So, I mean, it's clearly the most used spot on these. And I might need a little patch there. That might be too small for my darning tool. But yeah, just where the thread is looking weaker. I mean, this is super weak. There's barely anything to that yarn there. So this will need to be repaired. But yeah, anywhere that has an obvious hole, this one's an actual hole, or where it just looks like it's getting worn, then it's a good candidate for some darning. If it's just worn, you can actually mimic the stitches of knitting and kind of reinforce it that way. Oh, Grace says I always get the neatest tools and notions. I try to resist. It's just so silly. I've gotten a lot more since doing these lives, but I suppose I've been doing these lives for probably 6 years or something now. So gotten a lot of gadgets, tried out a lot of things here. They always simmer in the background of my brain for a while, and then it boils over, and I can't do without. It's just so stupid. But yeah, this has been a year so far of new crafts. I mean, sheesh. Before the year too, but the last couple months, learning tatting, and we'll learn this darning tool. I learned a ton about knitting, working on this sweater. It's been super duper fun for me. That's my favorite thing, is just learning new techniques and trying new things out. And I like learning the secret, and once I know the secret, then I can decide if I like it enough to continue. Oops, caught the wing there. Linda says, my grandmother used to darn the holes in your dad's sock. So fun. He said it was like walking around with a rock in his shoe. Well, yeah, if you get it too big, yeah, I could see it being uncomfortable in a shoe. That's typically, I think, the most common thing I would think traditionally that people are darning, though. But these are hand knit socks or something that are being made that it's way easier to just repair them than knit whole new socks. All right. We have his little facey done, and all right, blue. So next up, we have his blue hat here. So now this is the part that is several different stitches at once. So these fat lines here, it's just two lines on his hat there. Those are going to be chain stitch. So I'll go over how to do a chain stitch today. Then the squiggle parts of his hat are a back stitch, and there's a little dot at the end that will do another little French knot, and then he will be done. So let's bring out the blue. Haven't used this color yet. All right. Get my 18 inches or so. Yeah, this is probably more like 24 inches. Getting greedy. All right, and I'm going to take my 3 strands out again. There we go. Yes. Grace says, I remember back when we had to talk you into getting that 1/4-inch ruler for paper piecing, the add a quarter ruler, and now you love it. Yup. I think that was kind of the turning point of ooh, now I want all the gadgets. What I like, what I love about all these crafts is none of it is really needed. All you need is some really basic stuff for most of these crafts. But all these extra little tools do make certain annoyances a whole lot easier. So that's fun. With the darning tool, I think that's just going to make it faster, because, those tiny areas that are woven on those gloves, they took forever. They took ages. It's kind of like cross-stitch, I think, because, cross-stitch is another thing that, oh, that's a cute little design. Even the smallest design just takes forever. especially when you're comparing it to embroidery. And that's why I like embroidery so much. It's a quick win. You just you can do a fun little picture, and at least if you're just outlining it, like how, these beginner kits that we're doing are a lot of that, versus like filling in all the shapes. We did actually we're going to be filling in quite a bit here, but yeah, if you're not like thread painting a whole picture, it's just nice quick wins. All right, I'm weaving in these ends. This is maybe a dumb place to weave in the ends, but I think we're going to be fine. All right, and we will start with the chain stitch here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come up, so I'm going to do this line that's right here close to his head. So this should look like the hat is just like sitting right on his head there. So I'm going to come up at the beginning of the line, pull my thread all the way through, and I'm going to make like a teardrop shape, like a circle. So I'm going to just hold it down with my thumb. I do like holding it in place with my thumb here. And we're going to just make like this loop with my thread. So here we go. That's kind of the loop. And then I'm going to go right back in that exact same hole. But I'm not going to pull my thread through very far. Just a little bit. So you can see I got this whole loop going. There's a few different ways to do this. So I'll do it this first one this way, and I'll do a variant for the next row. But now I'm going to come up like a stitch length away. Again, I do about 1/8 of an inch, or just like a little over of 1/8 of an inch. And I'm bringing the needle up in the middle of that loop. And now I can pull all the way through. But as I pull, my thread that I'm pulling is actually going to block that loop from going through all the way. And it's going to give us our first chain. And I don't want to pull this very tight. So here's it a little closer. I'm not going to pull it tight because I want that roundish, loopy shape, that circular shape. If I pull too tight, it's just going to look like two stitches close to each other. So leaving it lazy. So this is like the makeup of a lazy daisy stitch too. We're just doing it in a row. And I just like that. Someone said that once, like, leave the stitches lazy. And that's what I think of when I want, just like, when I don't pull it all the way tight, I want that kind of loose loop. So for the next stitch, we're just doing the same thing. I'm kind of holding it to the side, and I like having my thumb there just to hold it taut. And then I'm kind of finishing the shape with my needle and going back in that exact same hole. So I'm going inside that loop that we just made, like over the top of the loop, and back into the same hole that we just came out of here. And again, just going in a little bit of the way. There, like so. You can see our loop. And we'll come up. Oop, I'm dropping my needle here. We'll come up a little further away. I think we'll do this in 3 stitches. There we go. And I'm coming up inside my circle there. And pulling it, my thread is catching the loop, and I'm not pulling it tight again, and we have that nice little lazy chain stitch there. And our last stitch, same thing. I'm going into that last loop, into the exact same hole that this thread's coming out of. And coming back up. Now I'm at the end of my line, so I'm coming up right at the end of the line. Still in my loop. And I'm going to pull that one. There we have this cute little chain stitch there now, and I need to tack that down somehow because otherwise the loop will just be loose. So I'm just going to go make the tiniest stitch right on the other side of that loop, right on the other side. Not in the same hole, but just like one thread length away, basically. Right on the other side, and it's just going to tack it down. So we're making like the tiniest little stitch to tack it down. And then that is our chain stitch. So we're going to be doing one more right next to it. So this is like a nice thick cuff basically to the hat. And that's it for the chain stitch on his hat. I think the only other thing we're chain stitching in this piece is this snowflake up here is going to get chain stitch the 2 big lines there. All right, so let's do another one. I think I'm gonna just jump right back to the beginning, so they'll be going in the same direction. So another way to do this, I'm gonna hold it this direction for this. I'm gonna make my fabric a little looser in the hoop because this is easier to do when the fabric is looser. All right, I'm gonna hold this just here again, and I'm gonna go in the same hole, and I'm gonna come out at the same time. So I've gone in and out in one stitch, and now I'm gonna take the thread and kind of wrap it around the back of the needle here, and now I'm gonna pull through. And we're getting the same effect. We got a loop that this thread is gonna catch. There we go. That is another chain stitch. So we can do that again. So I'm not making the loop to start with. I'm just kind of going in the same spot, coming out in the same motion. And now I'm going to wrap my thread around that needle and then pull on through again. All right, and one more time. In, and then now I'm at the end of the line again here, I think. Yep. Wrap my thread around and pull on through for my 3rd stitch. So that is called like the sewing method of doing it, where you go in and out with the needle at once. That's called the sewing method. Oh, it's freezing for you, Robin. This replay will be up on YouTube. So Penguin and Fish on YouTube. I think there's a link in my profile for that. So I just did the tiny anchor stitch at the end. So if you did want to like scroll back to like where we are on this, it will be available on YouTube as well. It'll be like a little different. It'll be horizontal, but it's the same video. So I'm streaming right now on Facebook and YouTube. And tickety-tack. All right, so now I'm just doing another back stitch. So there's a lot of little like wavy lines here. So a lot of curves. So sometimes I make my stitches a little smaller around curves just to make sure I am getting that curved effect, because our stitches aren't curved, but like lots of little stitches next to each other will give that effect of a curved line. And I'm going to just keep rotating. I'm going to rotate the piece so it's the most comfortable in my hand. And again, I like how I was talking before, the other day, I do like my left hand kind of involved here. So my left hand is feeling the stitches as they come through, and it's getting the thread out of the way. And my hand can't stretch all the way across this hoop. So instead I just rotate the piece so it's comfortable. So we'll be upside down for a little here. Yeah, it'll be nice to get this little guy done today. Oh, interesting. Becky says my grandmother used to darn socks by using a light bulb inserted in the sock. You know what? I have done that before. I've literally done that before. I don't know if it was a sock. Oh, it was probably like an elbow. There's a lot of elbows here that need to get darned. I'm going to do my little French knot here quick, but I have used a light bulb before. I would love one of these days if I come upon it. Like if I see one at the thrift store or something, I want to start getting some of those wooden mushrooms, like those darning mushrooms or darning eggs. I think those are just so fun, and I love when they're vintage and you know they've been used to darn a whole pile of things. That would be a fun like display item that I would actually use. Like I would literally put like a group of those on my mantle. I think that they're just so neat and useful and just pretty shapes. Actually, you know what? I think I saw someone on Instagram who actually makes them like with a lathe, and then they're like painted really pretty. Like the bottom will be like, it'll be like wood, but then the bottom will be like just like a bright yellow or something. Ugh. So they just look modern for some reason, and they're just so beautiful. But I've used a light bulb before for sure. Oh, Amy says I gave one away a couple years ago. I wish I kept it. Yeah, they're just fun objects. I love all those kind of old sewing things. They're just so interesting. But those in particular are just always have interesting shapes. All right, a couple more stitches and this feller is donezo. I think 2 more stitches here. Cute little blue hat. All right, one guy down. All right, let's weave in the end here. Ooh, I got a little frayed little loop came from somewhere. Maybe I can tuck that in as I stitch this weave in the ends. I think there's, yeah, the skis of the other penguin are blue. All right. Snip that. Okay, what do we want to do next? I guess theoretically I'm thinking we should do the black part of his head there. Otherwise we could do like his feet and stuff, but I think maybe his head. So this will be like more satin stitch, but this is going to be again a tricky bit of satin stitching compared to, like when we did his little wings, because we got a few things we have to avoid. Like I don't want to stitch inside his beak, and I'm actually going to not stitch in his eyeball area either, because I want to make sure that I can still see those. So for the eyeballs, those will be white, so I'm just going to leave a tiny little gap for them where I'll stitch them in when we're done. So this might look a little crazy while we're working on it, but once we get the beak stitched in and his eyeballs stitched in, I think it'll look normal again. So we can decide the direction we want to go. I think I'm going to go maybe in the direction of the eyes, because then I can do like a stitch there, and a stitch there, and we'll have like this little diagonal going. I think that will be kind of nice. I don't really want to go vertical, because that, like from here to here, is a pretty long distance for one big long stitch. That's when stitches can start looking wavy and everything too, if they're just too long. Like this would be a more for like a long and short stitch pattern that you stitch up. But for a satin stitch, when we're just going across the whole shape, this seems like quite a bit. But if we're going like just this angle, then this doesn't seem too big, and this doesn't seem too big because we got the beak in the way. I think that's the plan. And I can start with the eyes then too. That'll give me a good angle, because we'll do those pilot holes. Not pilot holes. I think that's a fun way to think about it though. But they'll be our guide stitches. So we'll put in a few like guideposts and go from there. All right. Get our 3 strands again. So again, with satin stitch, really nice looking satin stitch is done with just 1 strand. But I'm thinking that's going to just take forever, and my 3 strands looks just fine for this design. So, and with this black too, it's even hard to see any shine or anything from it. It's just filling in with a nice black hole there. Okay, 2, 3. All right. All right, so I think I'm going to weave in my end right here, but I am going to just jump right up to the eye. I'm not concerned about jumping that far because we'll be going over that with stitches theoretically, so that will hold that down. Yeah, we're going to start with that angle, and then I'll do like some other angles, and then we'll just fill in the gap. I like it. I like that plan. Okay, 1. We might just have time tonight to fill in his head with black. So it might end up looking goofy by the end of the night, but once we get that beak in and the eyeballs, it'll look good. And I'm on purpose doing this black part, the fill, the satin stitch first, because just like how we did, it'll be the same as how we did our little feet here and the buckle. So by doing the buckle after the feet, I didn't have to like tuck in underneath my stitches underneath the buckle. I could just stitch the buckle over the top of the edges, and it gives it a nice clean look. We're gonna do the same thing with the beak. So if we have like a bunch of weird little ends, you know, because of the satin stitch, like if something just doesn't line up right or something, our back stitches of orange are gonna go over it, and that will hide any mistakes. So that's why I'm doing that last. And same thing with these eyeballs. If I did the eyeballs first, it would just kind of get in the way, I think. Or the French knots would just get in the way. And I could go directly across this and hide the eyes, but I think this is going to work just as well. And then there'll be a little gap where I can see where to put the eye shape. Maybe I should have done this center area first, just to get the angle right. I'm not sure that first stitch is quite right. Oh, it's not bad. So this is probably the only spot that I'll leave this gap. I mean, theoretically, the line that I put underneath, I could leave a little gap too, but I think this is just like a reminder for myself that that's where the eyes go more than anything. All right, we got that angle. Let's get a couple angles that match up a little higher on his head here. So right there looks good. So in this case, I'm starting from the left side and always going to the right side. You know, like how here we always started at the bottom and went to the top. It's always about starting on the one side and ending on the one side. So you just have to decide, you know, what your sides are. I'm going left and right on this one. All right, there's some pilot holes for us. I am wearing the cardigan. I am Jennifer. It is so warm. I was saying earlier that I've had to wear like 3 long sleeve shirts today, including this. All right, so I'm up here. So instead of just jumping down and doing these pilot holes, I keep saying pilot holes now, these little guide stitches, I'm going to just, I'm up here, might as well just fill in these gaps. So we're going to satin stitch the top of his little head here. Then I'll work my way, I'll go to the eyeballs here to this line, and then I'll draw in the next couple guideposts down there. I think he needs one more little one at the top. I still do want to do that neck, or the, gosh, I still actually want to do a couple things on this cardigan. I would love to do, like I said, that collar. I just want to add like 2 little rows of the same red. So it's like really thin. So it's just so it'd be like, I'm trying to fold it in. So it'd be like just like this much on, not even, but this much on the neck, just to have a teeny pop of color on the collar of this sweater, and then I still would really love to just slice in some pockets. I actually saw a TikTok of that, of someone making like the similar pockets, but on just like normal fabric. It would have to theoretically be significantly different on knit fabric, but I think we could do it probably pretty similar to how we did the steeking of the front. So we would do steeked pockets, and there's no good like seam. There actually is a seam on this side. I originally thought that this was knit in the round, but then I found a sneaky little seam that was really seamed well. But it's pretty far back, the seam. Like, I wouldn't want pockets that far back, so I would like to just angle cut, which is just even scarier in a knit, but like angle cut some pockets in. So I don't know, some more research has to be done for that for sure, just because I haven't done pockets a lot, really. Like, I want to just figure out the construction of it, and I want the right size, and I kind of want to finish that edge a little bit. Maybe just the needle punched edge would be fine, but I don't know. More thinking needs to go into that, and just like how I said earlier with the collar, that too, I think I need to knit in a way that it encapsulates the current collar. I did read when I was researching steeking, I thought it was when I was researching cuffs, but it was when I was researching steeking, that's when that came up, the idea of encapsulating the steeked area. I think we need one more going up this edge, and then the above eye area is good to go. There, that's doing it. All right, so let's do more of our little guideposts here. All right, so this one's just stopping at the beak. Go a little further down. Now the beak one I didn't maybe do at the best angle, but I think it'll be fine. So this one we have to stop at the beak, but then we're coming up again, like right here. So we're skipping the mouth. So we got to fill in all these weird shapes too. Yeah, I think we'll just do there. So I'm gonna just fill in his mouth, and then I think I'll jump back up to where the eyes are. So remember, I am gonna be stitching that beak on top, so I probably don't have to get so close to the lines or the edge, because that's just, or like, I mean this in corner of the mouth, because the fatness of our beak stitch will kind of cover that. So I'm just going to do this one more. There we go. I think that will fill that space enough. And I'm going to just crawl on back up, and then I'll have to jump down and do that bottom yet. That path maybe isn't the smartest, but it's fine. And I think we're actually going to need more floss before I finish this guy. Oh, Alyssa, have you decided which one of those tatting shuttles, like the snowflakes of those tatting, the snowflakes that I'm going to tat, and are you going to do it live? I'll probably do it live. Well, you know what? I got to do some research. So I might do one just to like, well, I don't know. I have not decided. I do kind of want to go from beginning to end. But like through the book, like start from the sample one and go on, but I don't know how to do some of the things that they're saying yet, so I'm gonna have to look up those things. So I'll look those up and hopefully get an understanding of them. And then I'm going to go to the eyes here now. But yeah, then I'd love to do it live. Most of my crafting happens live. Just because this is kind of my dedicated time for it. Ooh, I'm going to redo that one. I meant to go like right underneath the eye. Yeah, I meant to go like right here. There we go. Now it looks like I'm going to hit the beak again here. So I'm going to go just to kind of the top of that beak, and then I'm going to hop on over to the other side, and we got a few stitches to do over here, it looks like. And then I might need some new thread, so I'll probably weave in the end here. Oops, you guys, sorry, I'm a little far over. Oh, not the snowflakes, the... Oh, yeah, that's right. That was, like, decorative shape thing. That's what you're referring to, right? Like that decorative little, like, diamond thing. Oh, that's right. I saved that. I want to print that out. That one looks like I can do, potentially. I didn't read through the full instructions of that to see if there was anything that any like types of joins or types of knots that I don't know how to do. Oh, that would be fun. So I'll look that up. Gosh, I'm feeling like I'm gonna have to do some more lives, like Saturday lives. Not this Saturday, but like at some point, because this is gonna be. I have like too many old projects that I want to finish and too many little tatting projects that I want to do. Oh, it's the shape of a tatting shuttle. Oh, that did not click. I understand now. Oh, that's so funny. I thought it was just like a decorative shape, but you're right. It is like the shape of a shuttle. Ugh, clever. It was probably even called that. Maybe I just didn't even read the title. I was just like looking at all the like pretty loops, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is pretty." It was really, really decorative and pretty, though. I do like it. All right, I'm out of floss, so I'm gonna call this thread done, and we'll have to pick up some more black to finish this off. But I think we might do that tomorrow. So I'm gonna weave in this end, and we will finish up this satin stitch and do his little eyeballs and all the rest of him tomorrow. I'm thinking he might be pretty easy to get done tomorrow. Depends on how much I yammer off topic again, I suppose. All right. But he's looking pretty good, and he's pretty far, so we just have that last little, like, under his chin to do, and a little bit right there. Good. I think what we'll do right away then is put his eyeballs in and his beak in, just because then he doesn't look crazy. And then we'll just like dress him up with his little socks, or his little, not socks, his little ski boots and stuff. And then we have his earmuffs yet, or headphones, one or the other. All right, you guys. So, thank you again for joining tonight. A whole pile of stuff we want to do coming up, including, so a big part of this year is going to be stitching the alphabet. So we will be starting that the last week of this month, the last day. Let's call it the last day. We'll be starting that the 31st. It's actually kind of like the first full week of February, but the Monday happens to be January 31st. So we'll be stitching the letter A, starting the 31st, and then the week after we'll be stitching the letter B. So the first 2 full weeks of the month we'll be doing the embroidery on the alphabet, and we might get done stitching those before the end of the week, and then if that's the case, we'll start doing the quilt as you go method to put that all together. Or we might actually just get a little bit ahead on it. We'll see. But yeah, so the stitching on that is going to start on the 31st though. So then we'll be doing continuing with the embroidery of the month the 3rd week, and then we'll be playing around with some of these other things the last week. The last week will be basically like our old Finish It Friday. It'll be like a Finish It week. Just a week of playing with some other things. So, all right. Thank you, guys. I think we did a pretty good job tonight with all that satin stitching. And, yeah, so I will see you tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Have a lovely evening. Good night.